Today, we are reviewing a direct response sales letter for the Tesla Wealth Script, a program claiming to use Nikola Tesla's secret 18-word formula to activate the brain's wealth-attracting center. A significant credibility gap emerges immediately between the rigorous scientific background of the narrator and the, well, highly mystical nature of the claims.
Yeah, the weakness there is that the narrator, Robert, is framed as a top neuroscientist, but the story relies on these dramatic tropes, like delivering Uber Eats in the pouring rain to a billionaire CIA friend.
Right, and then it rapidly pivots into these esoteric, woo-woo concepts, which really undermines the scientific framing.
Exactly. So the suggestion here is to ground the transition from science to mysticism much more logically so the audience maintains their suspension of disbelief.
You could, as just one concrete example, have Robert initially resist the script due to his rigorous scientific background.
Oh, like actively running a brain scan on himself to discover the corpus callosum activation before he ever actually believes the wealth manifestation claims.
Precisely. Now, looking at structure, the recurring verbatim duplication of entire paragraphs severely disrupts the momentum of the pitch.
It really does. The weakness is that large sections of text, like that opening hook about hotel room 3327 and his humiliating backstory, are repeated word for word throughout the material.
Which just frustrates the reader and completely stalls the pacing.
Right. So the suggestion is to streamline the narrative by removing those identical copy-pasted blocks entirely and utilizing very concise callbacks to maintain engagement.
Instead of pacing the original 100-word introduction again midway through, you just use a brief, fresh callback.
For example, you could write something like, "Remember that suppressed secret from room 3327 I mentioned earlier?" Just to keep the story moving forward seamlessly.
Perfect. And for the third main issue, the blending of multiple unrelated esoteric concepts muddles the central selling proposition.
Yeah, because while the core hook centers effectively on Nikola Tesla and neuroscience, the sudden inclusion of the Egyptian pyramids and Chinese astrology.
And the Bilderberg Group.
Right, the Bilderberg Group. It makes the lore feel like an unfocused grab bag of disconnected conspiracies, and that's a major weakness.
The suggestion for improvement is to tighten the thematic focus, to strengthen the primary narrative angle, and keep the reader anchored to the main premise.
As a concrete example, you could cut the references to pharaohs and Chinese astrology entirely.
And instead, double down on the CIA and neuroscience themes, perhaps expanding on exactly how the government analyzed and suppressed Tesla's specific frequencies.
That would definitely keep it anchored and focused.
So to recap this critique, the primary opportunities to elevate this material are bridging the gap between the scientific and mystical elements to boost credibility, eliminating exact text repetitions to improve flow, and tightening the thematic lore strictly around Tesla and neuroscience.
We would love to see how these revisions take shape.
Yes, please submit your work back in for another review once you have updated it.